Why do mud crabs always give terrible loot? Well, it's because they're shellfish. What's going on, YouTube? As the Writhing Wall event kind of comes to a close, I wanted to actually give some feedback on what I thought for this ESO event. It's going to be a combination of my thoughts and what your guys' feedback was, because I think as far as ESO events go, this is probably the most unique ESO event we've ever had compared to things such as the New Life event, Halloween event, which we just had. We have Midyear Mayhem very frequently, Jubilee, Zeals of Zenithar, and then you've got this multi-stage invasion that takes place across multiple zones. And I wanted to give my thoughts because I think conceptually it's very cool, and there are some pieces that I think should be taken forward, and there are some things that should definitely be avoided in the future. The actual first part that I want to start by acknowledging is the zone itself, Solstice. Now, splitting a zone in half I think is conceptually fine on the surface. Each side has its own vibes and its own theme to it. The issue that I really run into is that a lot of people make a good point. It feels like you've taken a normal ESO zone and you split it right down the middle. I think it would have made more sense to have two separate ones, maybe similar to how we have both northern and southern elsewhere, and then right on the border of those two zones. That way it feels like you're still getting a full and complete zone in an ESO expansion, or even like High Isle and Galeon and Euphelion. I mean, these are islands that are right next to each other, but they each individually feel like unique areas and they feel split off. It doesn't feel like you took, you know, a ham sandwich, and normally I get the whole ham sandwich, but now I get a ham sandwich that's cut in half. The other notable thing to discuss was the daily quest. So basically, to break down the wall for the first few phases, it just boiled down to farming daily quests. And those daily quests really amounted to, hey, do your daily crafting writs plus a little bit extra on the side. And that's kind of really what it felt like. And it didn't really feel like I was doing anything impactful to the story. Now, normally I would be okay with that. The issue that I ran into is that oftentimes it didn't feel very rewarding. And I understand there is a bit of a dilemma here. For example, on one hand, you don't want to flood the ESO market with things. For example, think of the Jubilee event, how many motifs get put onto the ESO market. But also, I need to be able to get some things that are worthwhile. I think the Cold Harbor house dropping is a very cool idea. I think they should actually lean more into items like that. And so my thought going forward, how they can have juiced reward boxes for an event that realistically is going to take a significant period of time if they try to replicate it without destroying the ESO economy, is actually to put leads inside of ESO reward boxes. So for example, let's say you're farming these daily quests, Wimbly Bimbly. I need to, as an ESO economist, I want to be able to suggest to you that it's worth your time to do these daily quests outside of the, oh, well, your mega server might be the first one to do it. I want to be able to tell you, hey, there are trial leads that drop from here for really cool mythics, or maybe those housing antiquities you could drop from there. Just things that on its surface aren't valuable. You're not going to crash the economy because you put leads inside of, you know, these daily reward coffers, but you're also giving people a reason to go, hey, there's a lot of chase items in here that could potentially save me tons of time. If the Torque of the Alien King dropped from these daily quest coffers, I'd be farming these bad boys nonstop. Balak Ball wouldn't stand a chance. He would know, he would have my name carved on him, and I still probably wouldn't get that lead, granted, but I would feel as though I'm at least farming for something that could potentially save me tons of time, because I've been farming that mythic for years and I still don't have it. Some things that I did really appreciate, though, was that the Battle for the Writhing Wall had a golden pursuit attached to it, one that can be completed by any ESO player, and one that really wasn't super difficult in the sense that if you were a level 10 character, you could really go and participate in the majority of these things. Also, the Twitch drops that went along with it. You know, we had multiple mounts that you were able to get. We had the Cold Harbor house. A lot of that was very, very cool. The issue obviously is that the long-term repeatability of those rewards, when there's not event tickets, I think is really just where it suffered. So for me, continuing the Golden Pursuit, continuing those Twitch drops, but then just tweaking those reward coffers to add in something like leads, or really just any currency that's potentially not one that's going to flood the economy, just throw those in there. Some other just general feedback too is the time it took to go from first, second, and third stages of the actual event. I don't necessarily know how long they were thinking the actual event should take. You know, the average ESO event is about 2 weeks long. I don't know necessarily how long they had planned mentally, because I'm sure they had in their minds of, hey, this is how long we want it to take to get from the first stage to the second stage to the third stage. But for me, there was definitely a big gap, especially when you realistically could have cut out phase 2 and just stuck to phase 1s and 3. I think stage 3 was the perfect example of what this event should and could be. It's massively collaborative. It had multiple paths, bosses with tens of millions of health. It felt like something new and unique, and I think they did a really good job. I think they could really ham up some of the actual mechanics in those places, ham up the rewards a little bit, and you really would be finding yourself, you know, doing something very cool going forward. And I think if they stick to that going forward when it comes to thinking of events like this, I think we will see a significant amount of success. Another piece of fear that I noticed from my community on this, that I didn't see a lot of people talking about when they were, you know, making Facebook and Reddit posts and all those other places, is that I noticed a lot of FOMO, which is interesting because this event didn't seem like it had a whole lot of FOMO. As long as you completed the Golden Pursuit and the Twitch drops, and then you could always buy the Cold Harbor house at any point you wanted in the future. What was the FOMO? But I realized that people were worried about everything. I have multiple messages of people worrying if there's exclusive titles that will be lost forever if they don't actively participate in this event right now, which is a bit interesting because if you think about it, and it kind of made me take a step back, a lot of ESO events are designed in a way where you're really kind of able to get yesteryear items for the majority of types of content. For example, if you missed Halloween 2024 and Halloween 2025, you can get grab bags, get the stuff that dropped from last year, and all the stuff that was added, the Hallowjack fight and the Crow fight and all that other stuff, you can just participate in again in the future. And I think ESO does a really good job of recognizing that they have a ton of completionists in their community, especially solo completionists. And solo completionists do not like to rely on other people. You have to go and get things, a la my friend David. David does not like to go out and have to rely on other people to get titles and other things. And that man will try to clear whole veteran dungeons without dying so that he can get the achievements on his own. It is impressive how far he will go to not be social. I'm not commending him on going and completing dungeons on his own. I'm commending him on his ability to avoid social interactions. And there's a lot of that I feel like I've noticed in the community. Other things I've noticed too is that people don't really like the competitiveness amongst different mega servers. You can tell my cat jumped up here and joined me when I was talking about that. She's like, I didn't like to see all the fighting. Everybody was over there, you know, going, oh, look at Xbox EU. Oh, I can't believe, you know, NA, PC is so pee-pee poo-poo. And there was a lot of that, which I find kind of interesting. I think it was funny from a banter perspective, but I think a lot of people seem to take it to heart because people would just poke fun at, you know, one of the mega servers for being so far behind and, you know, significantly so. There was a lot of defensiveness in the comments. In fact, there were conspiracy theories in the comments that, you know, the developers hated PCNA, which would be odd because that's where the majority of them play, and they voted to be the first ones to destroy the wall. So for them to just actively dislike them really required the full tinfoil hat, the whole aluminium foil, you know, all decked around the head, you know, to really think there was a conspiracy theory there. And it was just interesting because I didn't think that we would see a lot of that during this event, but there was definitely a little bit of that. And so going forward, what would I focus on for ESO events? And feel free to tell me in the comments that I'm completely wrong. Tell me I'm a dum-dum and that I am absolutely off base with this. The first thing that I would do is if you add a new zone, still make 2 new zones. Even if it feels different, having a zone that feels split in half just feels like you're getting half the product. Now, it is an island, but remember too, we've got tons of islands, ones that are literally right next to each other, and nobody really complained about the size of High Isle and Galen and Euphelion, Northern and Southern Elsewhere. I mean, look how small Southern Elsewhere is as a zone. It's absolutely tiny, but we didn't really ever say anything about that when it came out because we were so excited about the content that was in the zone. So when it comes to new zones, I think having a new specific zone that is still separate from the other one, that feels like it's its own exploration, is still going to be more beneficial based on the community feedback that I have seen. I don't necessarily think it's a huge thing for me personally, but it also seemed to have some bugs where you might have dig sites that were on the complete other side of the island that was still invaded on. Some other things to keep continuing to do. Golden Pursuits, Twitch drops, those are all great. Any rewards that can be actively completed by every ESO player is absolutely always going to be an A+ in my book. The other things to consider too are the daily quest. What is the content rotation going to be, and how do you reward people for doing it without also inflating the economy? Which sounds easier said than done, because in my original thought, I was like, well, just give people RIT vouchers or Telvar or AP, currencies that you might not normally get. The problem is that all of those currencies can still be used to flood the economy and cause issues outright anyway. So really, my thought is you have to give people things that are untradeable. What's the number one untradeable thing in the game that people farm for on a daily basis? Are leads. If you can give people mythic leads, legendary leads that just give you furniture, that's going to be some of the best stuff in my opinion. And it makes it easy for me to suggest to players, hey, if you're a solo player and you can go out and you can farm mythic leads without having to go to the Imperial City, you don't have to go do trials, you don't have to go wait for it to, rotate into the Archival Fortunes vendor or the Telvar vendor. It's very easy for me to tell you, gamble on doing these daily quests. Even if you are doing the equivalent of, rotating and doing RIT vouchers, the people still do their daily RITs every day because it's rewarding. So if the money is there, if the juice is worth the squeeze, people are going to make lemonade. Another big thing that I think worked really well is Phase 3 was fantastic. To do it live with people right as it popped, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time was absolutely fantastic. Seeing people go through for the first time, having no idea what they were walking into. A lot of them thought that it was just going to be kind of a zone that you just meandered through. To have these cool, like one-shot-esque mechanics, to have these different phases in the boss fight. It was nothing that was like groundbreaking for ESO when it comes to PvE content, but it was definitely cool to see tons of people participating in a zone like that. I think if you have multiple phases like that, even if they're smaller, little breakthrough phases or little breakthrough boss fights, I think you're going to see a significant amount of people put more interest into that. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below, because I'm just out here yapping it up, telling you guys what I think. And I did try to include as many people's opinions as I had heard in my comment sections about and during this video, just because you guys have provided so much feedback and your voices are equally as important to mine, because I'm just one dude. You guys watching this are also likely one person, unless you're a hive mind listening to this. So tell me what you guys think in the comments below. What would have made this event better? What would have made the rewards better specifically? What would have made the content farming better? And what would have made the solstice zone better for you? Those three things I think are going to be essential as we go forward into the future of ESO. What is going to give you kind of a fair value for your time? Like, what do you want to see when it comes to those three key pieces? Let me know in the comments below. As always, we're doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you have to do to enter is leave a comment in the comments below / like on the video. Second thing is just make sure you're subscribed / follow on Twitch and Twitter if you want to. Realistically though, we just pull a YouTube sub. And the third thing is look for a hidden word be flashed upon the screen. If you're the first person to find and comment that word, you will win. As a disclaimer, it can be anywhere, the title, description, timestamps, it can be anywhere on a video, and we have at least one per month. So thank you guys one last time for watching. Have a fantastic Monday, and I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.